As someone in cybersecurity, especially a woman in cybersecurity, I don't believe in gatekeeping. So we're going to go today into a few of the resources that I used to pass my CISSP. One of the first places that I started was CBT Nuggets. Now they have an online resource, and it is a paid subscription to get to some of their content and some of their videos. They do have a free learner account. I was fortunate enough that my place of business actually paid for this for me, but they do have some good resources. I will say there's a little extra fluff there that is not necessarily necessary, so this wasn't what I would say was the strongest resource when I was studying. They do have a mobile app, and you can cast to your television though, so that's a really nice feature. The second resource that I used, and probably the strongest, the one that I ended up relying on the most heavily for actual true to goodness exam content, was this. It was a YouTube playlist, and so you can go on YouTube and just search CISSP exam current playlist, and it'll bring up all 20, and it's a lot to watch through, but I'll say it's definitely worth it. The concepts that they covered were absolutely things that were on the exam. Now, out of a recommendation from the previous playlist that we talked about, there was this book that I picked up from Amazon. I just bought the Kindle edition. If you get the paperback edition though, it comes with a whole ton of actual flashcards that you can use. What I ended up doing, I'll explain to you in just a second. Once I had gone through and I had watched all the CBT Nugget videos on the topic, and I had watched the entire 20 video YouTube playlist, and I had read through the book just a little bit, just excerpts. I didn't spend a whole lot of time in the book. I went through and I pulled all of the example questions from all the videos, from the book, and from a few offline resources that people in the industry had handed me who had recently gotten their exam. And I went through and I created a PowerPoint presentation with, you know, the first slide being the question, second slide being the answer, just like a set of flashcards. And so by recreating that kind of like put me in a teaching mode, which was kind of the final gap there in the learning process. The test was still hard. The exam was still hard. I still thought that I was going to fail it the entire time that I was taking it. If you do not have experience practically applying security concepts, and you don't have experience making managerial security decisions, I wouldn't necessarily jump right on taking the CISSP right off the bat. Here's some things that I would recommend. The issuing organization actually has a certification right here called Certified in Cybersecurity. Now, this is a very beginner cert. They do offer completely 100% free to you training online for this. And then once you pass the exam, which is also free, you can opt then to pay a $50 yearly maintenance fee to become an ISC2 member, which opens you up to other security resources. But this certification is a really good way to kind of express intent to get into that cybersecurity role. It's a really great jumping off point. Now, I will say I have some years experience in the field. I did have a previous A+ certification as well as a few Microsoft certifications. So I did have some background in the technology field. With these resources though, I spent about an hour and 45 minutes total out of the 4 hours that they give you, and did pass the exam. So the way that the exam works now is dynamic. You have to take 25 questions that are unscored, and then you take all the remaining questions, and you kind of take it until you pass, or take it until there's no way you can pass. If you recently took your CISSP, or you're planning to take it, and you did use some of these resources, or you had other resources that you did use, I would love to hear about that in the comments.